Hello and welcome to the Work Hates podcast. I'm Bron Lewis. This is Bretty Blake. Everyone has a nightmare work story, whether it's an awful boss, a shitty workplace, or an insufferable colleague. And if you've had none of those things, chances are you're the problem.
You are the problem. Today we are joined by comedian, radio personality, and former Hey It's Saturday guest, Sammy J.
Very good.
Hey, and former radio presenter as well.
Oh,
I'm unemployed now.
Double former?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We were wondering how we
job?
got you. Unemployed. Were you just waiting out
Unemployed.
the front for the past 6 months?
I no longer work for the ABC, which is why
Whoa.
I'm prepared to be on video holding a disposable coffee cup.
Oh, yes.
For the last 5 years, if I'd done this, I would have been just shouted out. I would have had a management meeting about my lack of keep cup.
Sucked in ABC and the Turtles. Fuck you both.
This is the real me. Every time I had a keep cup coffee at ABC, you know what I do? I then go and secretly just take one of these from the cafe and throw it straight in the bin.
Oh, good. Yeah.
This
you
is the
have
real
to.
me.
I'd go
They
straight to
need
the source, throw it straight into the ocean. Who gives a shit? Fuck them. Yeah.
I just used to just wrestle dolphins to death in my afternoons.
You heard it here, guys. Sammy J punched a dolphin in the blowhole. Now, can you please tell us about this appearance on Hey It's Saturday? Because I've been obsessed with it for ages and I've always wanted to talk to you about it.
Okay, can you define your obsession?
I liked Hey It's Saturday.
Oh.
The end.
Okay, so this is fascinating because, you know, I'm a guy who likes to prepare. Ready? Running?
Yeah.
I didn't come here with nothing to say.
Okay.
And the story I will tell you
Yeah.
actually has Hey and my
Yes.
appearance on it as the pinnacle, as a pivotal moment.
Great.
So
Beautiful.
do I give you the sugar now or do you want some delayed gratification?
Delayed
That's my-
gratification.
Yeah, why don't I tell the story when we get to the story?
Okay.
How
All
about you
right.
fucking hold your horses, Brett?
All
Fuck,
right.
sorry, I like to
For
come.
once.
I like to come quickly, you know what I mean?
Okay, whoa, all right. Sorry about that. Did you? How are you feeling about not doing radio anymore? Morning radio,
Breakfast
oh.
radio.
Oh gosh, I don't know
Yeah.
what you call
This
it
is
these
my
days.
morning and it's 10 o'clock.
I'm what's the word? Happy.
Yes.
No, I did breakfast radio for 5 years, which was amazing.
And you're brilliant at it.
oh, that's very kind.
No, you were.
You were on the show lots.
I was. Yes, I was.
Not once.
Not once, no. I listened though. That's the
really?
difference. Yeah, nah, but still. No. I did because I listened
Yeah.
during COVID. Because did
Well,
you
COVID-
replace Red Simons?
Sammy and Jacinta were there for 2 years, and then I came in. But I got the job. I started January 2020, and I was never. This was always the issue with me on radio because I never was seeking it desperately as like an end goal. It came up unexpectedly. I thought,
Yeah.
what a great opportunity
to buy a house.
yeah, to have a job, as it turns out, during COVID. Because January 2020, I did 4 weeks of normal radio, like going to free stuff and everything and interviewing people. Then COVID hit, and I was suddenly the guy with a job, which is
Right.
really grateful for. Felt a bit bad.
Yeah.
So what was the vibe in the studio when it was?
Oh, we were, because there was a whole thing, you remember like March 2020, panic buying was a real thing, obviously, like
Yes.
toilet paper, all that. But I remember like we were always like a day or two ahead of the audience, so we knew sort of how bad things were a little bit before others. So I remember there was a day where I turned up, and my producers at the time, Chris and Haley, we turned up and I swapped pasta for toilet rolls. Like, and it was
Oh
not
my
ironic. It was like
gosh.
we were secretly starting to do some hoarding. And then we were going on radio saying, "Oh, so are you guys panic buying lately? What's the vibe?" But we already were doing it ourselves.
Trading. You could have
Yeah.
traded
What
with me. I had like 300 toilet rolls in my spare room.
Yeah,
Yeah, accidentally.
That's just standard, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not many stock
Per
standard. Or else
day.
am I going to shoot an arrow
Oh
into?
my
Yeah.
gosh.
No,
so
I accidentally bought too many
is
toilet rolls.
that do you think every single radio station had that kind of insight?
Well, yeah. I mean, it wasn't.
Or intel?
It was not exactly intel. It was just that we were, because it was ABC, so it was also we were this like official source of some information. But
Yes.
it was just we were steeped in it like all day long, and would take like I was having to go on air as the comedian with people
Yeah.
calling me in tears, going, "I don't know if I'm going to die." Like it was
Oh my
full
God.
on. It was good, like from a professional. Like I had to like muscle up quickly and learn that it wasn't all about jokes. and
Speaking of
stuff.
dying, one time I was on stage,
my
you know what I
God.
mean? Just trying to make everything lighthearted. He's like, "Ugh."
Well, what night does your council collect the bins? Am I right?
Guys, call in. What else have you used a bread clip for? That was one of Red Simon's favourite ones.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What a bread clip.
Yeah. So like
Is
a
that one
bread,
of
you know
his-
that little plastic
Yes.
thing on the
Oh,
bread. What
yeah.
else have you used it for?
Yeah.
Because
Far
my
out.
van was stuck on ABC radio when Red Simon was on in the morning.
So you were there.
So yeah, I was there for like 2 years of just Red Simons.
Yep.
Yeah,
A good talkback topic is hard to find. You both know. So when you find like a killer one, and they're always unexpected or they come up. Like once we what was ours? Like most the the fictional character who turns you on the most.
Oh,
Like,
that would be a good.
I
Marge
did it in like
Simpson,
subtler
sorry.
language.
Jessica Rabbit. I would have
Yeah.
thought that she would have come up a lot.
A woman called up and told us about an orgasm she once had
No.
due to Optimus Prime.
Oh my God, I'm
Fucking
so
hell.
And it was in a
embarrassed.
dream. And you could hear her. She's telling the story because I sort of like reeled her in. And she realised halfway through that she was on live radio. And I think she'd, in her head, was chatting to a
Sammy,
friend.
let me tell you about Optimus
And we're like, well,
Prime.
you can't take
Oh,
that back. There's a dump button. That only goes back 10 seconds. So I couldn't erase what she'd said. Got a few complaints as well.
Really?
Was that
A
you
lady
see?
having an orgasm on fucking
Well,
radio.
she wasn't actually. She was just retelling it.
Retelling it.
She wasn't. It wasn't
She
like a
followed it.
Harry met Sally situation.
What would be your one if you were gonna?
Oh, gosh. Fictional character.
Surely Marge Simpson.
I was always more of a Princess Jasmine guy in the 90s.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Ron, go.
Oh, I don't know. Actually, I've never thought about it fictional
Homer,
because I'm
done.
a grown up.
Yeah, Ned,
So-
Ned Flanders.
Grown up.
When Ned rips off his shirt and he's all
Oh yeah,
that
sexy
was pretty
ripped.
Flanders.
You'll be
good.
the Mrs. Crabapple for
That
Ned
was pretty
Flanders.
cool.
Yeah.
I like how he screams. So you're not doing that anymore, and
No.
you don't miss it. So one thing I've actually always been curious about, and I've only been on radio just for like tiny little snippets on your show,
Rang up,
including
had an orgasm, left.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Optimus
used a fake
Prime.
name.
I had to talk about him. No, is the people who call in. They're a different breed.
Oh yeah. And that
Surely.
breed is low.
I will not. I will till the
No.
day I die. I will not smack talk my beautiful
No.
listeners. But I will say,
Yes.
apparently, according to some research, but radio research is all bullshit because it's just all about selling ads on commercial stations. But apparently, it's like 0.007% of radio listeners. That's the number of people who actually call up and engage. Like everyone is just a listener. Like I listen all the time. You just, and then there's
Yeah.
a really tiny percentage of people. That's why you hear the same voices over and over. And it's like
Yeah.
regular callers, whatever station it is, whether it's FM or
Yeah.
AM. But yeah, it is a specific breed because it's people who are prepared to put themselves out there.
Yep.
Serial pests. You get the same one once a
You
week.
must get the same.
I have. My radio experience was a lot like my life experience, which is that I sort of just self-defensed my way into a little ball to the point where I think people started to feel cruel if they were giving me too much trouble.
Yeah, right.
And then by the end, we just had a nice little community, you know?
You could never be mean to you, Sammy.
You can be, but then you'll see a
wouldn't
little
make sense.
tear.
Oh,
and you
you'd feel
zoom in and you
bad.
see it, and then you feel a little bit of pain.
No, even the idea
And
of
you
you
fuck
crying
off out of my
up,
life,
Sammy,
you know?
It's
Yeah,
awful.
I'm sorry, Sammy. I
Yeah,
didn't mean
that's
to be
all
mean
right.
before.
You're right,
Yeah,
mate. No, you're right, Brady.
it's
It's all right. It was a misunderstanding.
I went on to Nova Breakfast in Perth when I was there, and I was there for half an hour. So I had to. Listeners were calling in, prizes were being won, all interrupting what I was there for. But there was at one point a caller had come in, and then just before they answered, one of the hosts turned to me and said, "This woman has won millions from us." And I was like, "What?" And then they were like, "Congratulations, you've won $10,000 to this thing. Well done." And then she was like, "Oh, great, thank you." Then hung up, and they were like, "That's her full-time job. Her full-time job is to just win prizes on radio stations, and she's invested like 50 hours a week into how to do it, and she's won millions."
And see this, like this.
Now, what
that's the
cost?
difference, because ABC we had nothing to give.
Yes.
So what we would have is not
Bread
people who
clips.
wanted
You
to
give
get.
out the free bread clips.
No, not even that. You have to go to parliamentary inquiry, like it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, if everyone remembers actually the bread crip 98 Senate estimates. It was full on.
It was a tough
Big
time.
Yeah,
big
tough
time.
time. But
Imagine caring that much and then like listening. Imagine like breakfast radio, like ABC is a bit different because you can pretty much not say what you want, but you're not like
Oh, you
it's
can't
not,
say what you
it's
want
not like
all the time?
advertisers and
Yeah,
you're not
yeah.
pulled this
There's a
way and you're
different
like,
set of restrictions.
This is what happened on maths last night. Imagine listening to that shit every day of your life.
Okay.
You should be paid $2 million.
Freddie, I want to put something to you
Oh,
Okay.
good.
off the back of that hot take, because I remember when I started radio, one of my producers said, gave off the vibe that it was really cool that I now had a job because I was, I could relax and I didn't have to do things like corporate gigs.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? She's a friend of mine. She was like, I remember like a year ago, she said, I remember I saw you in the city and you were off to a gig. And she said, what gig was I doing? And it was a gig for like a urology conference. And she said she felt a bit sorry for me in the moment.
Oh.
And my response when she said that, I was like, sorry, I was being paid really well
Yes.
to do a 15-minute gig at Fed Square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was my job for the week.
Yes.
For the
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
And then I sat on my ass
Yeah.
and I did whatever I wanted for the rest. That feeling, I imagine, is what that listener would have when she hears
Yeah.
you mocking her for listening to FM radio and
That's right.
putting up with all this shit. Actual quote.
Yes.
Brett. When she's like, nah, I'm winning 10 grand and then I'm just going to the beach for the day.
Yeah,
Everyone's got
that's
their
true.
own
Yeah.
their life hack that might look weird on the outside, but if you're winning, you're winning.
Hey,
is
look,
what-
a winner's a winner. You've got me. That's the
Yeah. Oh,
ABC
you're good, Sammy
interrogation
J.
there. That's
There you
why
go.
you're
Still
fucking
got it.
Good.
I've turned a corner.
Still got it.
I'm calling into this fucking
This is
show.
good. When have you had an epiphany live on your own podcast? Give us a call.
Dude, I often my is it sense of personality or what I find right or wrong changes within like 3 sentences. I'm like, I actually am racist now. I think. I don't know. What does everyone else think?
I don't back myself, and I'm always like, my favourite words are no worries if not, and always open to persuasion. Like, I
Yes.
just don't want anyone to think it's over.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like, I'll change my mind if you want.
Yeah, if you want, please keep talking to me. Please argue with me. I love it.
Yeah.
It's human contact.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
a
happy to
beautiful
see it from
thing.
your point of view. I just don't really understand.
Well, there's actually a couple, I read about this. There's a couple who quit their full-time jobs and put all of their effort into winning money from That's Life. And they both make enough money for a double income family.
I know someone who does that on the game shows, Tipping Point and other ones, and just because the thing is, it becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy slash, what's the word? The loop.
Yeah,
Just a,
yeah.
you know,
yeah.
echo chamber. There's a loop word that I've lost. You know.
Okay.
Anyway, the point is, Bron
Yes.
and Brett, the point is, the radio stations know that someone who's calling all the time will be good talent. You know, they'll actually keep, because radio is just about filling air. Like it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Same on TV. If you've got someone who's a bit brash, a bit confident, who can perform on a game show, every other game show will want them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
They
you
know
see
how
the
to talk.
same people on those shows because they know
It's like I didn't realize because I did Deal or No Deal
As a contestant,
no, they did like a.
you were a suitcase person.
I was a suitcase person. They did Tom Gleason's celebrity audition, and we were Tom's mates. And I'd never worked with Grant Denyer before. That dude is a fucking machine.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, whatever. He's just a TV guy. But to watch him work for like 2 hours nonstop, cameras moving, different takes, audience interaction, I was like, okay, there's a reason why this guy's a millionaire. I couldn't do that.
That's the Larry Emger journey. Like in
Yeah.
the 90s, he was a joke figure for many of us watching
Yeah.
TV because he was the shiny game show. Then you grow up and you enter the industry and you go, man, that is talent and effort and dedication.
Absolutely. Who was the I loved him so much, but then he had a terrible fall from grace. Who was the
Andrew
one?
O'Keefe.
Andrew
Yeah,
O'Keefe,
I used to love him as a teenager. I was like, oh my God, he's brilliant. He's so good. He's so kind to
He
everyone.
wouldn't like you. You're a woman.
That's fair enough. And you know what? That I'll wear that. It's okay. But I remember thinking, even as a teenager, there's no one who could not like this man. He's
Yes,
so
he's very
charming.
charming
And then he
charismatic.
was a meth head. That's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a shame.
That's a shame.
But
Sorry to
what
bring
remains
that up.
true is the fact that anyone who can stand in a TV studio for 10 hours or 12 hours and still not just appear happy, but be happy by virtue of the fact that they're happy with the job and they're putting in. That's the whole business in my, I don't believe in talent. I believe in staying
work.
around.
Do you
I've
know
always
who?
Not leaving.
You're not,
Do you
don't
know-
leave, and then it's a cockroach mentality I have.
Well, do you know who is like who's proof of this? Is Claire Hooper. She's been around for a really long time, and she is brilliant at hosting. She's so good at telly. She's really quick on the spot. She makes everyone feel like they're supposed to be there, and that they're not only supposed to be there, but adding to the show, even if they're maybe not. She's brilliant at it. So it's if you are in a job where you're thinking maybe I'm not cut out for this, stick around for 30 more years
Claire's
and
never
you
had
will
anything
be.
as well. She's never been on every gala. Every
She has,
TV.
yeah.
She's amazing.
But
I
this
mean,
is what I
like
mean,
the
like-
hosting position. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so good at
She's
it.
so good at it.
Yeah, but there are different perceptions of different people. If you look at, and I feel like an old bastard now because I started over 20 years ago. You know, but I've seen enough people come and go and rise and fall. I've had my own little moments of where I thought, oh, this is the big break. There's no big break. If you have a big break, 3 years ago by, it's no longer a big break. It's just about staying around,
It's a
Yeah.
fucking
keeping on, chucking stuff
I even
out
say
there.
to young comics, I was like, guys, like everyone's like, why am I big? Why am I doing this? I was like, you don't want things too quickly,
Yeah.
because otherwise, then the light's on you, and they're like, oh shit, I've got to do an hour of comedy, and I got 10. I got to stretch it out. I was like, comedy is a marathon. It ain't a sprint. I'm gonna be here in 20 years. So you decide when you want to use me.
Best lesson I ever had, and this is a bad job, if I may. It's not the bad job,
Please.
but this is 20 years ago to the fucking month. I got a job on Channel 7 on a sketch TV show called Let Loose Live.
And how old were you at this point?
7 years old. When I was 21, 22.
Oh my
Fuck,
God.
how old are you now?
I know, I
Seven.
forget, yeah.
He's been on the ABC.
I know,
check
it's
it out.
really, yeah. No, so I got this job and it was everything. So it was being directed by Ted Emery, who was the guy who directed all Sean McAuliffe's sketch shows in the 90s. It was a rebranded, rebooted show for Mark Downey and Michael Veitch and Peter Moon from Fast Forward Full Frontal days. Like, it was a big deal. And Kate McLennan and myself were the two babies on the show. And it was a live to air Channel 7 sketcher. They threw their entire budget at it. Live to air on a Sunday night. This is back when TV still meant something. Like, it was actually people would tune in their millions potentially.
Dude, people, I miss those good days when everyone gathered around and then you couldn't wait to get to school to tell everyone about what you saw.
Joint discussion.
Yeah, it was
not
the best.
Like podcast ruining everything, splitting the audience.
Yeah, it's your problem. We just do it. We don't listen to this shit.
I got on the show. It was billed as live to air, so nothing could go wrong. And in my 3 weeks of employment, I discovered that wasn't. If I had said one word that wasn't on the auto cue, I would have had my ass ganked.
Right,
you know?
okay.
So there was this sort of faux spontaneity, but it was still a beautiful cast. Colin Lane, Dave O'Neill was there,
Oh
like
my
all these
gosh.
beautiful
Yeah,
people.
great.
But a lot of network interference. Like the first show, we had to do a parody of Lost. Like they spent all the budget not on the writers, but on a plane set of a crash plane, so we could do that sort of vibe.
Yeah.
It lasted 2 weeks. It was it remains the shortest lived TV series in Australian history. They had a guest host every week. Guy Sebastian was due to be the third host. He got turned around at the airport in Sydney about to board the plane because the show got axed. Because it was live, so it wasn't like they'd already put it in the can. So they were like, no, we can save money today by not building any more sets next week. And I was so crushed. I was still at uni, but I thought this was going to be, in my head, the rest of my career was set. I was going to be the star of this new, like I was going to be the new Jim Carrey of Australia. And it was shattering, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I've never once trusted any television station, any television producer, or any human since.
Yeah, it's
a beautiful thing.
It's good. But it's kind of good to get, this sounds awful, but get a little bit burnt early because then you fucking know and you come in with new fresh eyes. Like I didn't get burnt on one, but I did, what was that? There was one, it was called Common Sense. It was a TV show and I wasn't playing anyone. They interviewed different people at different work sites and me and my mate were removal guys and they would like ask you what's happening in the news and you just had to comment while you're working and shit like that. So it was like the off season of Gogglebox, and Gogglebox was huge fucking 8 years ago. It was one of the biggest rating shows. Yeah. So they had a spin-off which was called Common Sense, which was people in their work environment. I was on it and they had put you through like, when you got all the stuff, number one, they didn't pay you, fucking rats. Anyway, but they paid you like an appearance fee, which was fuck all. But they send you to all these psychologists and psychiatrists going like, oh, look, how are you going to deal with fame? This is going to get this, that. And you're like, oh my God, fuck, here we go. I'm going to fucking sell out my comedy festival. This is going to be insane. This is going to be a big opportunity. And then like literally like the next week, it's like, the show's cancelled. No one fucking watched it. You're like, okay, back to just doing removals, I guess.
Not a big deal. Goxie, what are we doing?
The greatest thing about telling these stories is how every time you tell them, you realise the other people you're talking to have no memory of the show. Like, Let Most Live doesn't mean anything to you, nor should it. The show, I've already forgotten the name, Common Sense.
I don't
remember. But it's therapeutic to remember that, it's a big deal in your mind because it was a big moment.
But no one cares or remembers.
Keeps turning.
So, I'm interested in this. Like, I see you as a very successful comedian and person in Australia. I would say you as one of the most successful. Do you feel like you are not? Okay.
No, I really, you saying that makes me furrow my brow because
really, well, you're Sammy J.
No, but a lot of people hate Sammy J. You know what I mean?
No, they don't. That is a lie. I don't know anyone who could. No. I remember when I started comedy, that my friend's wife said to me, she said, "If you ever meet Sammy J, can you please tell him I love him?" And I never did, and I'm sorry. I was like, and in my head, I was like, as if I ever will. And then it wasn't even long after, because you gave me one of my first, I think it was my second ever paid gig. It was at Sammy's kids' school fundraiser. And I was...
Second paid gig.
It was my second, and I was
$50.
so nervous. It was $100.
Oh,
and Sammy said, and
Just,
Sammy said to me, I'm sorry, it's not that much money. And I was like, and I had to pretend that it wasn't. I was like, oh, it's no big deal. That's fine. But it was $100 more than I'd ever been paid.
Kids, we're all eating tonight.
And shout out once again to the wonderful Claire Hooper, because she's the one who recommended you, because she was on the bill and she said you should check out this.
She's my guardian angel.
One of my first big paid gigs as well. And it was outside at Scarborough Beach in Perth. Yeah. I've actually been meaning to tell you this story because it's fucking insane. So that was my first big break. I thought of because I got to Dave Thornton was emceeing.
Yeah.
Sammy J and Randy were on.
It was in the
Axis of
outdoors.
Awesome. 5,000 people out.
Whoa,
out.
that's a
it
lot.
Was, and I got to open for him, but my pop died 2 hours before that, and I was at his deathbed, but I was like, Pop would want me to go.
Yeah, he would.
No, because it was like, I was like,
but
I've got to do this gig. It's my big break. And that was that show. And it was fucking awesome.
So because I want to drill down, so we don't forget this, can we just mark at this point?
Yes.
And can I trademark a podcast about when you have to do a gig after having horrible news?
Yes.
There's something in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
There's a
Oh
clip of
my
me
God.
dancing with Cal Wilson and with Ali McGregor for Ali McGregor's DVD. And I'd like been in tears 2 hours earlier from some like fucking anxiety breakdown or
my
something.
God.
And I was like racked with sobs. And then there's still footage online of me dancing as a
Hey guys, will this make you happy? I'm dead on the inside.
But that gig was wild. And I remember because we were all swearing like troopers, but it was like billed as it was like families were there because it was outdoors at the beach, but they'd also booked us and said, no, it's fine, do your thing. So I remember it was incongruent, but that's awesome.
Well, because was your stuff all clean for families?
No. I had
Yeah.
that was still flip chart Brett, swearing. One of them was the punchline was anal sex with Delta Goodrum. I got to stop mentioning
God.
that. Yeah. And I had flip charts and it was crazy.
See, I don't complain. I'm not one of those people who will complain to the manager. I'm not one of those people who's going to call the radio station and make a complaint. Okay, I will just switch the stations and move on. But if I was at a family show, I was sitting on the beach with my family, and a comedian came out and started talking about anal sex with Delta
It was a
Goodrum.
punchline. It was hidden, and then it's the punchline.
Don't
It's still-
Donald Trump, Brett, just then
Yeah. Well-
starts talking about like it was a whole...
No.
When he mentions once.
Yeah, so I'm doing a riff
And-
about my
okay.
joke, setting up about my girlfriend or something, and then that's the punchline, which is kind of the shock. Or
You're
whatever.
right, it's
but
fine.
also
It's
if-
Ron
hidden.
remembers that as a 15-minute deep dive.
yeah, but are you forgetting the key factor? I said Perth. It got like a fucking standing
Yeah, you're
ovation.
right,
Even
you're
the
right.
2-year-old's like, "Fuck, that's funny." I'd root her in the ass.
I'm sick of apologising for all my early gear, which I've spent many years doing. Most of my life spent apologising for like my first 2 years when all I was doing was going to the Comics Lounge, trying to start a career and following what people were laughing at. Like, they're as bad as me.
I blame the
Absolutely.
audience. I blame the audience.
Yeah.
The audience is always to blame.
If you're not laughing, I ain't doing it.
At Comics Lounge, I know that I get, I have to, no, it's not dumbing my jokes down, but I swear more, a little bit more crass. I will take, I'll raise my eyebrows on a joke, which is usually really innocuous, but if you raise your eyebrows, it becomes a little bit filthy.
Yeah.
I will do that at Comics Lounge because I know that's what that audience wants from me.
Yep.
And it's the only way that I know that I'm going to do well. Does that mean I'm a sellout? Probably.
Or you're a professional because you got to play to a different audience.
But
Play in the room.
if someone had come in and been like, oh, I know Bron Lewis, yeah, I'll come and see her, and then they'd be like, that's not what she's usually like, and then they make a complaint, they call in ABC Radio, they say, hey, shame on her. Do you have people upset about your early material?
Well, no, more just me because it's like no one else remembers. Most of it was
Yes.
before YouTube, which is amazing. But like last year, I took down my first 2 albums because there was half the songs. Not like horribly offensive, but like just the faux ironic stuff, just like faux, that's awful to say, that's the stock standard stuff. But I was like, I wouldn't write that now, so I just don't want it out there now.
That's fair.
But
Yeah.
I've repackaged it all and putting it back out there next week as a little like, I've got rid of the ones I don't like. I've kept the ones I even changed 1 or 2 words in a few songs with a little
Great.
sneak, and I'm putting it back out there.
Good on you.
And it's called Those Were the J's, which is the best fucking album name you're going to get this year. And don't you come at me.
That is
Don't
very
you
clever.
dare come at me. Unless you got all the deleted stuff that he has
Yeah,
on his
no.
hard drive, then
Yeah.
you can come at him. No.
Yeah, I have wondered that because I came into comedy much later, in the mid-30s. I wondered what my jokes would have been like if I started in my 20s.
You'll find even now, like the jokes that you do now, 15 years from now, you'll be like, oh, I'm better than that. I don't like that. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have taken that perspective.
But I wonder, I think it's quite unfair that comedians from, say, 20 years ago are being held accountable for jokes that were acceptable then.
Because
it's like, okay,
it's
we've
not-
learned. I'm not doing them now.
Yeah, we can all just sit back and go, ha ha, you're a piece of shit because 20 years ago you said that, but not taking into account
We said
society's collective culpability
Yeah.
and going, okay, isn't it good that I'm embarrassed about some stuff because it means I've changed and the world has
Yeah.
changed? Isn't that like a good news story?
Yeah, I also feel like there's not enough like space for like man, you don't go to school day one and know everything. It takes time. You learn, you progress. The problem I have if comics are still up there doing accents now, I'm like, dude, that's over time. But if you did it in the 90s when people were laughing and like, it's not ideal, but it happened. And as long as you've moved on,
and the act of feeling awkward about it is sign that things have changed. But you're right. Like, it's for me, it's like, okay, I was 19. I did my first gig. I got up, whatever I'm saying.
Oh, my God.
Like, all sorts of faux sexist or misogynistic or whatever it was that I was, like, playing some version of a character. Because I didn't know. Because no one was saying that's not cool for these reasons. Hey, did you know there's been a historic gender imbalance for millennia? Like, now I do. I get it. Good. I've changed.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there is definitely, as you say, a lack of space at times.
Yeah, because you do need to learn. I mean, if someone goes, hey, that's not how you say that, or even when I came from Perth to Melbourne and some of the words I was using, someone was like, hey, that's not what you call, and I was like, oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't know. And then from then on I moved. Like, if you keep doing it, it's like, oh, you're a piece of shit. But if you don't know, you generally don't know, you know?
Sammy, you had a really great article in the paper when everyone was really upset about Barry Humphries.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. When you had, when the Barry was not...
Please tell me.
Oh.
I can't read.
Okay, yeah, so let Brady... What am I talking about?
Okay, so you're talking about... it's a two-beat story, this one. So in like 2017, I want to say, there was a huge uproar around Barry Humphries and some comments he'd made about trans kids, and he'd said some various, offensive to some. Others say just calling it as it is, whatever you like, whatever. But there was a huge outroar because the Barry Award, of which I'm one of the recipients, has been named. This goes so deep because, like, I'm on the board of the comedy festival, blah blah, and so I'll try and summarize it. Festival have said, and it's true, that it wasn't specifically named after Barry Humphries, but the name Barry in general, like he's one of them. There are other Barrys. It's Australian. Right. Be that as it may, it's true that everyone thinks it was named after him, and that's the most important thing. He had these. It was awards season coming up, and a group of comedians, many comedians in the comedy festival, said, "We don't want to." That was the flashpoint because these comments had been recently made. He hadn't clarified them, which was for me always the great missing link. Because I had a pile on in general. I particularly hate a pile on when there's no context, you know, given or sought or
give people space.
People see a headline and get outraged. Fucking go and find out what actually happened.
People love it.
Yeah. Was it said? So in this instance, I won't say because I can't remember specific words he used. But my question was always, well, was he in character? Was he being Dame Edna Everidge or Celeste Patterson?
That's a very good point.
Didn't mean it was necessarily cool to say it, but it means like I'll defend someone's right to say it and I'll defend people's right to be offended. Or was it his like specific, personal views? That's where it sort of got to. There's no clarity. Barry Humphries, by the end of his life was poking all sorts of bears as he had the right to do, but he'd gone pretty overtly conservative in many different ways and stuff.
And also, he's a fucking old.
So
this is where it got to. So
it's like he's fucking 80 as well. You know what? You remember? I remember my fucking grandparents when they're old. They're saying some shit that they don't really believe.
We'll be being cancelled by young people when we're in 40 years. No, that's the way. Anyway, so the point was, awards were coming up. The Barry Awards. A group of comedians, I'd say a group like an entire agency plus more, were saying we're going to boycott those awards if that name stays. And Comedy Festival put a sort of impossible situation. I was there with Cal Wilson on the board, and we were just one of a whole sort of group, but we were also channeling artists' views sort of back to it, where the choice became have an awards ceremony and no one turns up, and there's your headline, and there's your sort of,
bad PR.
Bad PR. Like literally the people who win the awards will not be there. Or change the name. Go,
Everyone
this
comes.
is it. So name was changed to just Melbourne Comedy Festival Award. It was done as respectfully as possible. It didn't say this is because of Barry, but it was like, for various reasons, this name better reflects. I remember Pete Hellier was on the project saying, like, supporting it and saying, hey, this isn't about Barry, this is about, as I had the view as well, this is about actually being a welcoming space. So anyone who was really, the target of those words or felt targeted.
Particularly comedy, the arts, we try and make it as close as possible.
That was it.
You know what I mean?
And that sort of came and went.
On the forefront of the fucking society.
That was it. It made some articles. It made some headlines. That was like 2017, 2018. Then, cut forward 5 years to when Barry Humphries dies, inopportunely 2 days before the end of Comedy Festival. So just at that moment was when, if it had been a month later, it probably wouldn't have been a thing. But because the awards were happening, it was a crisis response. Every conservative newspaper columnists was getting on their high horse and saying the comedy festival's woke, all this and that. A lot of people,
even though it changed 4 years before.
Yeah,
that.
It was a delayed thing. It was the same controversy repeated because he died, because everyone suddenly, why isn't the comedy festival doing a tribute to? And everyone's like, from the festival's perspective, they were like, well, hang on, it's 24 hours left of the festival. We haven't got that many staff. We're trying to put on shows. We'll do a thing, but just anyway.
Yeah.
So a few days later, like 3 days later, where I thought I was going to be relaxing after a comedy festival, I just decided to write something. The Age asked me. I think they said they knew I was on board with it. They said, "Will you write a piece?" And so I just like, yeah, actually, I'm reluctant to put my neck out there ever, but on this occasion, I had a somewhat of an insider's perspective.
Yeah, the best insider out
I
there.
wrote a piece which was basically everyone just chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Barry Humphries said some stuff that a lot of people didn't like. He's allowed to say that stuff. He's a comedy legend. Okay, like he's done heaps of comedy in Australia. At the same time, a lot of comedians were really put off by his comments and felt, targeted, whatever. And this is the unpopular point I made to like my older listeners or readers. A lot of comedians don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Do not know who Barry Humphries is. I'm sorry, that'll shock a lot of people who were listening to radio, but just had no idea who Barry Humphries was, and that's just a fact. And so the attachment of the name in that moment was less important to them than the idea of a welcoming space. And I just put that out there, and
How was the reception of that? Because I read that and I basically gave a round of applause. I was like, that is was so beautifully articulated. You respected both sides. You were saying I was involved in it, but I also really involved in the name being changed. I was one of the people who voted for this, but also I really respect the man. He did a lot for comedy, and we should respect him. For a long time.
I like that you got both sides.
Yeah,
I tried to. Yeah,
I think you did
and I
it
joked in
perfectly.
the article. I was like, "Hey, get set! I'm about to attempt the impossible and not get cancelled for it myself."
Yeah.
And then, so it was a lovely response from people like yourself. I remember yours, and people like. But at the same time, I remember there was like all sorts of like, who's this? Because I was on ABC, so I was like, ABC, Sammy J. He's like, you're a 1% of the man Barry Humphries of the B. What shit have you done? Like, all
Oh
this
my
stuff.
God.
And I remember where I actually, I've never, like, it was the most intense couple of days because I don't like being online. I do it for work and it's, but like, I actually turned my phone off for a couple of days, or not off, but I didn't go online because I started getting messages from like people I really love and respect who I didn't know personally, like in the entertainment industry going, "Hey, Sammy, just checking in. That was amazing what you wrote. Just wanted to make sure you're okay, mate." I was like, how bad is it if they're like doing welfare check?
Fuck, I've never even heard from this guy in 10 years.
It was a nice little like growth thing because I was proud that I put myself out there in defense of a bit of reason and like that. That's that.
Especially at a time when everyone was ready to defend something. Like everyone was ready to either defend Barry or everyone was ready to defend trans people, and so everyone was ready for a fight. It felt like it was a really tense time. It felt icy, and you stood up and you were like, "Hey guys, I've got something to say," and everyone was like, "Well, fucking say it," and you said it beautifully.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it did feel mildly lonely because I remember back at the time when every comic was out there, like saying, and then at the time I was like, it was a little bit just little me because everyone realised how fucked it was. So I took a few arrows, but I was happy to do so.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so you don't regret it.
No.
Oh,
it's like
heavens.
because no one's talking about it. Like the only people remember that. It's nice if you remember that you did something mildly brave. I mean, the fucking more important things
Especially
in the world.
because I think that we live in a time where everyone's so ready to be angry before they actually understand what's going on at all. So everyone has an opinion.
Extreme,
Oh my God.
like, you've said that. We want you fucking out now. Like, it's just everyone just wants blood.
Total blood.
It's
at
fucking
all
insane.
times.
Everyone just needs to calm the fuck down and like look at it with sensible eyes. But no one does.
Yeah.
Like, I want to. Kids are doing crime.
Yeah.
Slit them by the neck.
Yeah.
And that's why I did like political satire for years on ABC, but I never actually ever had an opinion. Like, I put opinions into, but like behind a character, behind art, whatever. But the Barry thing was the first time where I was like, I've got something to say. I've got a contribution. I want to make it. And then I'll shut up for another 5 years until something happens which is relevant again.
But it wouldn't have been a better person to have been able to have an opinion on this.
Oh, well,
because
thank
you were
you.
were so immersed in it. You had won the award. You were part of the committee. You were a comedian yourself still, and you were a spokesperson for
hopefully for the
community.
artists.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And not every artist. Some of the older artists in
Sure.
particular were like, no, but that's okay. You can disagree. But like
You can-
now before anyone cancels me over this discussion, and
They
before they
wouldn't
clip it up
dream
and
of
take it, go and read the article, read Barry's comments, read the
Yeah.
article, educate yourself, and then come back, and then we'll have a civil discussion, and Brett and Bron will be here as well.
No one's
Okay.
doing that. No one's reading and then having a thought. They're like, no, just react. React violently, harsh, and swift.
No, I loved it. I thought it was great. But you've now finished. Before we get into your nightmare work stories, I need to know now you're not doing so much any radio. You've now moved back into comedy, right? And you're doing your
Doing a new
first show
show.
back in
Yep.
how long?
Well, look, I've done a couple of shows over the last 5 years whilst doing comedy, but one was like a best of songs, you
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
with a cellist, my mate Richard. So I needed
Okay.
company. And,
Oh, yes.
And
I
then I
remember
did
this.
a character show based on the ABC sketches, which was with James Pender, my co-writer. So this is the first solo show I've written in like 8 years, which it feels like Krusty's comeback spectacular, you know? Like,
Are you excited?
I'm
or what?
fucking loving it, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's because radio got to the point where I was just having to give too much of everything, and
Yeah.
like quality of anything I tried to do outside of that was suffering badly, and I had to go, man, if I don't get out of here, it's all over for me. And why did I get into this like 20 years ago? Because I like making stuff, I like being on
Yeah.
stage, and so it feels like coming up for air. And this show I'm doing is so fun. It's called The Kangaroo Effect. It's about the time just last year when I turned up to my mate's 40th birthday, dressed as a kangaroo because the invitation said dress up. And no irony, no joke, I just thought it was a dress up party.
Yeah.
And I walked into the room and everyone's just wearing like linen shirts and floral dresses on the Mornington
So
Peninsula.
they mean like dress
And
nicely.
Dress nicely. And I'm in a fucking kangaroo
Well, they've
onesie.
worded it
Here
right.
he
And
is,
it was-
going him off, Red.
Yeah. It was the moment, like, as I hypothesized in the show, the first time in my life where I didn't want attention. It was like I felt properly humiliated like a normal person would. Where, until then, I'd been like shame-proof. And so the whole show goes back over my entire life to piece together all the moments that led to that little one. And it's been a joy. I've just started in Darwin and
great.
Hobart. But I'm pumped. I feel like it's back to why I got into this.
Good.
And it's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, because you have been in the industry a really long time, and you have. It was your breakthrough moment. Hey, it's Saturday.
Well, that was I was
because
in
you're in
year
high
10.
school. Yeah,
I was 15.
Wild.
Okay, I'll tell that
You look
story.
exactly the same, which is a compliment.
It's a little thank you, little Peter Pan here. I'm shedding 5 years of looking like a haggard piece of shit from.
No, because before when you were like, I said, how old were you? And you were like, it was 20 years ago, and you were like, I was 7. I was like, do you know what? I'd believe
Maybe.
that.
I'd
believe
Maybe.
it.
Okay, I'm gonna. You know what? Can I tell you about my job?
please.
Because that's gonna land in the sweet spot.
Yeah, of course.
You're looking at me like just get to the
Mate,
gong, baby. Just get to
ABC,
the gong.
I know you can do. I know you can navigate me through a story. Take the reins, brother. Don't be shy.
Okay, so the job I want to tell you about. You guys remember Maya?
Yeah.
Like it still exists.
Yeah, it used to
the
be Grace
store.
Brothers in Canberra.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, was it Grace Brothers here too?
That was Maya.
It's always been Maya.
Grace
We had a
Brothers in
Maya in
Perth, there you go.
Frankston.
Okay.
Growing up down there. And then Maya sent its bad stuff or slash the stock that wasn't stocked at Maya's would be stocked at Target. You're both familiar with Target?
Tajay.
Target.
I'm familiar.
Target sent its off stock or unsold stuff to Fossey's.
Oh.
Now, who remembers Fossey's? Hands up.
I
don't remember
I've
no one
seen,
remembers Fossey's.
I remember, I know the font. I've seen the
font, yep,
sign.
green writing Fossey's, and the O had a tick in it
Yep.
to say as if
It's good.
bargains here, babe.
Yeah.
It's good.
Come on in.
Yeah, don't worry about us.
So Mornington, you might know it, little town. I grew up in between Mornington and Frankston. Mornington had a Fossey's at the top of Main Street, and it was the go-to place for your Manchester, your linen, your bras, your underwear. Pretty female focused, but
Okay.
you know, guys could get a couple of shirts there as well.
Yep.
And my sister had worked there. My older sister, she's 5 years older than me. She'd worked there for a couple of years. So when I came of age and 14 and 9 months, whatever it is, to get
Yeah.
a job, she hooked me up with a job at Fossey's.
A Nepo baby. Okay,
And-
very cool.
Never has there been a more underwhelming arrival at a department store than when Sarah, she was cool, she was like chatty, charismatic, they all liked her. Her little fucking stammering, pimply little weird comedy nerd brother turns up.
I can help the lady in the bra section. Oh, get him away. Ugh.
That's like an actual transcript of my first day. Like it was just, the disappointment was palpable.
Yep.
My sister like moved on pretty swiftly from that because she couldn't take the shame, and I'm left there with all these women, a couple of guys who were like 5 years older than me, and I'm just the snivelling toad who didn't know what he was doing, who'd lied my way into the job because I said like I'd had retail experience and
Oh,
I
you,
didn't.
it's-
More or less. I was just basically said, yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
I haven't got my
handwritten
shirts in a
CV.
wardrobe. How fucking hard can it be?
Yeah.
Well, this is how fucking hard it could be, Brett. Like, so, like a month into my job, I remember the manager comes up and he goes, "Mate, can I just get you to just tidy up these shirts on the rack?" And he made me like do recovery. Recovery is a thing that you did. Recovery means making all the racks look nice. So you had to use grease-proof paper or to like baking paper to like rub. You take off the shirts from a rack or the bras, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So there's like a big metal pole sticking out, right?
Yep.
Sorry to everyone who does retail and knows this, but for those who
Okay.
don't,
Oh, yeah,
so
I
you
didn't
need
know
to learn.
this. Yep.
Take them all off, and you rub this baking paper along to make it like a little bit
Shiny and
slick.
and
lubricated.
Okay, you actually lubricate.
So then you put it back, put the shirts back on, and then you go like you do a little like zhuzh of the, and they should all like spring nicely together so that they all look like they're evenly spaced along the rack. And
did you know this at this time?
No,
or were you, okay.
nothing. So he watched me and he hands me the baking paper, and I don't know what to do with it. So I like just walk over to and I just like put the baking paper to one side. And then I just like pull all the shirts right forward so they're all mashed up against each other with like half a meter of blank pole behind them. And then I like look meekly up at him and he goes, "Oh, mate." He goes, "I don't think anyone's ever taught you how to do recovery." I go, No, sir. And so then
So he's like, was he in the SWAT team? No one's ever taught you how to do recovery. Can't. It's baking paper and a fucking shelf. I reckon I can figure it out.
Yeah, but I couldn't understand it. Even your sort of faux mockery still hurts. And so anyway, that was like where I was at to begin with. And then I just basically, they gave me the bare minimum. I think he had designs on my sister, to be honest. So I think he was still they couldn't fire me because like my sister was still did like one shift every month or something. And so I was there
God, Sarah was a powerful woman.
Yep.
Wow.
I rode her coattails.
Well liked by the sounds of things.
Yeah, well liked.
Yeah.
And then I basically just 4 hours a week sort of go to Mornington and do my little thing. But I was just so the joke about serving bras was real because my teachers would come into that store and they wouldn't realise when it was too late. They'd ding the bell and I'd be off hiding somewhere. And it was like a sitcom, like a bad British sitcom where there was never any service. They'd ding the bell, I'd turn up.
Oh, no.
They would make eye contact with me. I'd go, "Hello, Mrs. Won't say name redacted.
Triple M's?
Triple M's. I literally, this sounds like a made up story, but it's not because I've never told it. Like, I literally once was avoiding eye contact with I held eye contact with my teacher. I got the bra and I put it into a bag, but I got the wrong size bag because I wasn't looking. So I was like, "Oh, won't fit in there, will it?" And I had to get like a bigger bag just by like using only feel.
Because you didn't want to look
at the bra, and in so doing made it 10 times more awkward. That's just one bud example.
Just show me one of those gigantic bags that say for tellies.
Just a big garbage bag, just like stuff. And then
just like pimply, like, "Oh, God, I'm kind of touching your boob in a different way."
It was like Fry's guy from Simpsons had come to life.
So many Simpsons references this episode.
I know.
Okay, very cool.
It's our genre. And then the gift wrapping, and I couldn't gift wrap. And the number of Mornington Peninsula mums who would look at me with this sad look of pity as I just like wrapped it into this sort of just ball with sticky tape around.
But also, this is on you for shopping at this shithole. What did you expect?
Line crossed, buddy.
Oh, sorry.
I'm smack talking myself here. I'm smack talking the role, but you lay off Fossies.
Okay. Is Fossy still around?
No.
Okay.
It went into receivership
because
shortly
of people
after
like you who disrespected
Fossies.
This one's for anyone who does remember. You guys will not care for this, but this is going to hit a few sweet spots out there. Okay, listening. This is their theme song on their TV ad. It was like a Don Spencer, real Australiana guy singing "Fossie's Friendly Feeling." Oh no, that's Woolworths.
Yeah, Friendly Feeling. It sounded like Sammy J's copping a fucking feel.
It was the Fossie's Friendly Feeling, but I think I've combined it with a Woolworths jingle.
Just riff, just go, mate. Nah. No one's stopping you.
Nah.
Fossie's Friendly Feeling.
Fossie's Friendly Feeling.
That sounds rank.
That's awful.
It's just a little pimply kid handing you a bra. Would you like Fossie's Friendly Feeling?
I was the Fossie's friendly. Anyway, so things started turning bad. Okay, but not that bad at this point.
Okay.
Because then in 1999, I'd been in the job for about a year. I auditioned for Red Faces, mate. Brady's happy.
Brady's happy. Very excited. Very excited.
I auditioned
for. Did you meet Pluck a Duck?
Man, I saw Pluck a Duck with his head off. He was smoking. It was fucking thrilling.
Dude, I would kill for that memory.
I audition at Bendigo Street. Okay, with my first song, the Nerd song. I get on Red Face, and I'm like, he goes, Jack Strom, who's the talent booker. I'm like so nervous. I'm thinking, am I going to get on TV? Is this my big break? And afterwards, he's like filling out the clipboard. I'm like, so what's next? And he goes, yeah, I know. Yeah, we'll use you. I'm just working at the day. What? He just went, yeah, we'll use you. That was like the words he used to tell me I was going to go in front of 2 million people.
It's like
Brady Blake was going to be watching.
I was watching.
It's like when a woman's like desperate to be proposed to, and then like the guy goes, yeah, okay, let's get married. That's fine. Yeah. And she's like, okay, I guess that's good enough. I guess I'm happy about it.
No ring, but just so then 2 weeks later, I turn up and I get there, and I'd never used the name Sammy J before. I talked about this in my show, but it was my Batman Begins moment because I decided not to use Sam McMillan because it's a boring name. We can all agree with that. I went Sammy J. Daryl Summers introduced me as Sammy J. Boom.
That's it. Daryl Summers was. He created this.
He created this, and then Red Simons gonged me.
How long in? How long did you get in?
Oh, like 60 seconds. It was brutal.
Is that a long time?
It was pretty brutal.
He,
Rough. But I took his job on radio 20 years later. So I got him back.
Yeah,
God, you
that's
played
the
the
win.
long game.
The long game, baby.
Was he so? Was it everyone would have been booing him because you were just a
No, but
small...
Red was a character of it. He was
remember
always
you
playing
sorry,
an
me.
asshole.
I just realised, so I thought this was a conversation of equals. Are we having to hey-splain to Bron?
No,
Because
no,
you're
no,
so
I
young.
do remember it. I do
Red-
remember it.
You
Red's
wanted Red to
ca-
gong.
You wanted
Did
Red
you?
to gong.
It was a blood sport. It was
Yeah.
gladiators.
But what? No, you wouldn't... Not a child, though.
No, you want everyone.
Yeah,
you want him to
everyone.
be like, no, don't do it, Red. And he's like, nah, I'm a
Nah.
fuckhead.
Break
bang.
his little heart.
Yeah, it was
Oh, that's
beautiful.
awful.
If you didn't get gonged by Red, I'd be fucking upset.
And he'd do the big gong, and I've still got the footage, and then he would do his little signature move with the big mallet. He'd go, he'd like
I remember that.
circle
yeah.
around the...
He never smiled. Yeah, I remember him.
I went up to him before the show.
and punched him in the face.
No, that was after, because he gonged me. Before the show, I went to his caravan, and him and Wilbur Wilde and Russell Gilbert, like the gang. It was the fucking gang. And I went, hi, Red, can I get a photo? And he went, fuck off. And I was like
Red
about to
Simon
cry.
told you to fuck
he
off.
said, fuck off.
Dude, I like him
And
even more now.
No, I have so much respect. Like, at the time, horrible, but I have so much respect because he was with his mates, and I like that was genius. Like, and then I remember
don't
Wilbur
know.
Wilde, who's like a lovely guy who's I know Wilbur really well. I know them both now, you know.
Yeah.
But Wilbur, like, his head popped up behind Red's and goes, oh, don't worry, mate, we'll do a photo after the show. Like trying to make it good. But Red's like, no, this little jerk's about to go on TV. I'm gonna mess him up bad. And then
I
I
don't know.
love that.
I hate it.
I'm sorry, the comedy nerd in me loves it. The,
I
the
hate
human
it
in me,
so
it broke me.
much.
I'm still recovering.
Yes.
I'd remember that on my deathbed. I'm like, you fucking
Oh,
piece
if
of
someone
shit.
did that to
But
my
awesome.
kid, they were brave enough to go. I would burn that trailer down.
but your
I'd be like,
kid-
stay in there, mate. I'd lock it. I'd burn it down. And everyone's like, oh my God, what happened? I'd say, he told my kid to fuck off. And they go, actually, that's fine. And then I'd walk away and never see a day in prison, okay? And then everyone would be happy. And that's exactly how it would play out. You can't tell a kid to fuck off. To their face.
He was 19.
Behind
Were
their
you
back.
19?
Yeah, no, I
He's a
was-
fucking adult.
I was 15, 14.
He's an
I was
adult.
14.
He can vote. He can cop a fuck off.
The missing bit though, Bron, there in that beautiful hypothetical is
Okay.
that your kid has chosen. It wasn't my first rodeo. I knew what I was doing. Like, I knew what I was in for.
you?
I turned up to Red Faces because I wanted to get gonged by Red. And inherent in that consensual arrangement
Yeah.
is that there's a good risk he's going to tell me to fuck off in the process.
Okay, so you were kind of expecting it.
No, I wasn't expecting
weren't-
it.
were you
but it checks
surprised?
out in retrospect.
Okay,
I thought,
all right.
no, I did hope he'd be nice to me off air.
Was he always? Because I actually met him in person. I worked at a restaurant in Collingwood. This is when I was at uni.
Mario's.
And it was called Huxtable.
Yep.
And he came in with it was really busy. One of the best jobs I ever had. So much fun. He came in with his wife and then two of their friends. They walked in and they said, "We'll just table 4, please." And everyone who worked there except for myself was a Kiwi. So none of them had recognised him. And they went, "No, it's so booked out, mate. No way." And he was like, "Oh, no. We'll have a table of 4." And she was
Ooh,
like,
I hate this
I
now.
know. And
I
I was
hate
like,
this now. I
and
fucking hate when
I
people
knew
do
who he was. And I was like, this is awesome. And they said, she goes, great. You'll need to book another night because we are completely full. And he said, you're not listening. We'll take a table of 4.
Oh.
And she was like, by this stage, she was like a real staunch. I loved her so much. Her name was Shah. She was an excellent manager. And she pointed at the restaurant. She goes, see all those tables full of people?
Yes.
They're eating their meals and they booked ages ago. So you're going to have to leave and come back. And he was like, no. And his wife looked a bit embarrassed. The two people he was with looked a bit embarrassed. And he was just like, he puffed his chest out and he said, who's going to finish soon? Points at the tables. And she goes, no one. He walks into the restaurant past her, goes to a table of ladies of 4, and he said, and they just had but they weren't even up to their
hate this
dessert
story,
yet.
but I love
There
it.
was a salad in the middle. It was like all shared plates, obviously. And they said, and he's pointed at the salad and he goes, are you women still trying to finish that? And they were like, yeah, and they knew who he was. They're like, yeah, and he goes, well, hurry up, we need this table. And then my manager came in and she was like, you're going to have to leave, sir. You're going to have to leave. And then the chef kind of came up and said, if you can find a table, like she came over and said,
Tell him to fuck
fine,
off.
you can have at the bar. So there was bar seating, but the 4 people along the bar, it's not ideal. And he said, no, we'll have this table. And eventually,
Brother,
Yeah,
you're on a
he
fucking
was-
shit TV show gonging someone,
so
and
every
you're an
st-
average, what is he, a saxophone player or some
I
shit?
don't know, but every
Wilbur,
story-
you
Oh,
lay off
Wilbur was-
Wilbur again.
yeah.
Just once
Wilbur,
again.
sorry.
Every time we zig, you zag. Just stay with us, mate.
Sorry, guys.
But every time I hear a story about him, I'm like, oh no,
That
he's
comes
awful. He's awful.
What he
'cause
needed
it's
was me
not
to
a-
pop up behind the bar and go,
Yeah.
fuck off. Little 15-year-old me.
But so yeah, I wanted to
That
I
is
wanted to think it was an
incredible.
act, yeah, but when you, this story and the experience that I had with him, he
Red, is
just
that-
seems awful.
He's a complex dude, and a lot of his in real life stuff is an act. So I dare say that's not the essence of him, but clearly that's
Yeah.
sometimes a performance is convincing enough as to become part
What
of
is he
someone's
famous
personality.
from?
Sure. Hey, it's Saturday.
just
Well,
Hey,
Skyhooks. No, he was in Skyhooks.
Skyhooks,
Like
okay.
that was big 1970s.
Yeah, what did he do in the band?
What's that? Oh,
Play-
it's a,
play
okay.
guitar.
There
There you go. I was fucking close. Saxophone.
Same thing.
Same shit,
I
isn't
reckon.
it? Fucking music,
definitely.
isn't it?
So, okay,
Okay, sorry.
bring it in. I got $400 from McDonald's for coming second on Red Faces.
Oh, so he came
pretty
second.
fucking
That's
good,
awesome.
dude. $400, that's heaps of cash.
Can
back
you
in the
remind
day.
me how you won? Like how did it was the,
Oh,
the
there were
judges
two celebrity
won?
judges
Yes.
and Red Simons with his gong. And my celebrity judges were an actor. She was from, I think, Water Rats or Blue Healers. And
Meryl
Oh,
Streep.
man,
Meryl Streep.
Water Rats.
And
That's a good show.
Jeff Kennett's son, Angus Kennett, who was starting his modelling career.
No.
God, Australia's landscape.
Who I
of
dare
famous
say-
people fucking
Yeah.
rule. Yeah, some cunt we found on the street. Yeah, his name's
Jeff
Steve, I
Kennett's
think.
son.
Yeah, we'll get him in.
I don't
Great.
think musical comedy was his specific niche, so I don't think he and
Okay.
I were a match made. But I walked into Fosse's 2 weeks later and quit.
Because you had $400.
I had $400 and I wanted to buy a video camera to start making comedy sketches. And I'd spent most of my time at Fosse's like imagining sketches and like
Yeah.
planning. And I quit dramatically.
You
Really?
did? Oh, great. How'd you
Story
do it?
doesn't end there, babe.
Okay.
Go.
Fuck, I'm loving this
Okay.
so much.
So I need to ask you guys a little question. Who won the 1998 federal election?
Oh, let me take this one. I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, 98?
Yeah.
Was that? No, it's John Howard.
Yeah,
That was
Howard.
Howard's big second win. He was going badly, had a bad first term, right? He had a special policy, though, that he brought in. He'd said he'd never, ever do it. And then in 98, he swung big. He went, I'm going to do something just to reset the whole fucking political narrative. And it's a big swing. I could die on this, but I'm going to call an early election. What was that policy? What were the three little letters that you're very familiar with?
GST.
GST.
Yes.
John Howard wins
Oh,
the election. Okay.
yes.
GST is going to be introduced 1st of January, year 2000. I win Red Faces May 1999. I quit in June 1999, my job at Fosse's.
Yeah.
I run out of money in about August 1999. I go to Fosse's, ask for my job back. They say no because my sister's no longer there. She's traveling.
Sarah's
They've
gone.
got no reason to give me a job.
Nothing. Oh my God.
Doesn't end there, babe. Okay, so a couple of months later, GST's being introduced. The whole country's freaking out.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to work out how to add 10% to a meat
10%.
pie. That's like, every retail store is having to redo their labels, their whole computer systems. This is on top of Y2K bug impending as well.
Oh my God, what a
You don't have to
crazy
add 11%
time.
or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
No,
fucking weird.
no, you got to
Yeah,
divide by 11,
11,
but
and
that's to get your 10%. So
'cause
you
you gotta have
divide by 10, then you
10% on
add that.
the
It's,
10.
exactly. This is what every
Yeah.
manager of every retail store in the country was going through.
Okay.
About September in the year 1999, they come crawling back.
Yeah,
They
right.
need extra manpower. I get sent to the back room for
What to do with a little
weekly shift
calculator?
with one of those little dynamo like label printers to print like 13,000 labels
Oh my
of the
God.
new price. That includes the GST, and I'm little basement boy out the back with my pimples and my love of The Simpsons, just bashing out the digits, loving it sick because they came to me.
Yeah, you
And
won.
I don't have to interact
you
with
definitely won.
teachers.
In that basement,
We need
you
a
were the
little
winner.
freak for the basin. I know a guy.
Let's get Gollum back. He'll be good. So anyway, then I graduate my way up. Year 2000 comes. GST's a big success. Y2K doesn't break the whole planet. And so I'm in year 11 now. I start to get a little confidence because I'm Sammy J now, thanks to Daryl
Yeah,
Summers.
you're a national treasure.
They bring me back onto front register, baby. I'm back in
famous,
the game.
famous,
back. I'm
famous.
back,
It's a bigger comeback than Trump. I'm there. And this time I'm looking at
Are
the
you in the
bras
making?
and the women. I'm chatting to everyone. I'm just
I'm
away.
making eye contact with your tits, the bag,
the
and
whole
your
lot.
face. I don't give a shit.
You're getting the triple threat right now. But I don't give a shit. So I remember this is terrible. And it's been long enough that I presume there's some statute limitations. I started giving stuff away for free. My
stealing,
catchphrase was, and that one's on the house.
That is
Because
brilliant.
where did this confidence go? Hey, babe, see that bra? Yeah, it looks good on you, sweetheart. That's on the house.
That's pretty
on the
much
house.
it, but in a more charming, less lecherous way. I would never do it for the bra. I would do it for like the socks or the shirt at the end. But I'm like, because it was, you know what? It was little old ladies with their coins. It was pensioners.
Yeah.
Fozzie's is not where people who had the money
That's right, yeah.
went. It was like people who were on Struggle Street a little bit. They come in and they'd clean out their coins, and sometimes they'd be taking so long. That's how it started. I was like, there's a queue. So I was like, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But don't worry about it. Eventually became that one's on the house with a cheeky smile. And for about 18 months, I was giving shit away left, right, and centre to the point where I think people came to me because they knew what was going on.
These little old ladies pretending to have
Absolutely.
arthritis. Oh, here's a threepence. Oh, wrong generation.
But on balance, I think Fossey's, the organisation still benefited because people probably came because of me and still had to buy a couple of things. Because I wasn't just like, it's all for free. It'd be like 5 items, 5th item on the house. So they
That's
still,
beautiful.
that's just a
So
good,
you're a hero.
It's a lost
Yeah.
leader.
Robin Hood.
That's right.
Large, that's how I viewed myself. Kevin
And
Costner, American
you didn't
accent
have to,
style.
You didn't have to wear his outfit, but you
Nah.
absolutely did.
Chose to.
Mate, with these pins, why wouldn't you?
And then year 12 came, 2001, turned 18. When I quit, I did it over the microphone.
Oh, that
Old
rules.
school, because by then I didn't give. I was just. I was such a cocky little. You know, I was basically. I was about to become a male comedian starting out in stand-up. So you can imagine the cockiness and the arrogance and the self-belief. So I got on the microphone. And went, hello, everyone. Sammy J here. Look,
This is the best quitting story so
I'd
far.
love to say it's been a great 5 years, but to be honest, most people ignored me most of the time. I wasn't very good at the job. It gave a lot of stuff away, but I hope you all have a great life.
There was an
And I
admission
literally
in there.
dropped the mic of the speaker, and I just walked out of there. Like, I don't even think anyone heard it, and if they did, they didn't notice. But for me, it was a bloody great Hollywood moment.
No one heard it.
The
It
boss
wasn't
puts
on.
his head up. He's like,
Yes,
did
what's-
someone say something?
There was
I don't know.
feedback.
Something about something.
Is Gollum working today? What's going on?
Yeah,
Where's that little guy that was on the TV with Red Simons?
Yeah, does the stickers for the GST. Where's he gone?
We need 10% on the brass, quick.
That
Where's-
is a
and,
brilliant
I walked out of
story.
there, and then September 11 happened, and then I went away for a year, and then
Are you
I came
claiming
back.
that?
No, I'm
What,
just
did you get
simply
locked up, did you?
I'm
Like,
marking
your
the
fault.
moment.
Yeah.
If you weren't there, you don't remember. But as a schoolboy, when that happened,
Yeah.
that was I definitely had quit Fossies by then because that became. We all went to the library that day. There were no classes, and GST was upon us though, and I was about to fly.
Yeah,
That's
what
why
a
I remember.
wild time.
Wild Time to Be Alive.
Yeah.
Napster was the way you pirated music. And that was my bad job story.
That's a pretty, it's an awful, to be ignored. To
Oh.
make it feel like you're invisible is
I
such
still-
an awful position to be
that
in.
feeling, though,
Never happened
Yes.
to me. Mate.
Yes,
Too
it would
loud.
have.
it comes in cycles.
heaps.
Subway, for sure.
The feeling of turning up and trying to like insert yourself into a conversation.
Yeah.
That was me at Fossey. That was me then on Roadshow when I started. That
Oh,
was me at
yes.
every comedy gig when I started. That was me then 15 years later when I started at ABC. I always feel like the outsider, and eventually, cockroach style, you stick around long
Yeah.
enough that you're no longer threatening.
So do you think
Good
do you-
strategy.
Brett
Do
loves
you
it.
think
Strategy.
like because I think one of the best parts of comedy is when you get something you go sucked into all the people who didn't think I could get this. Do you ever think that?
We've really seen behind the fucking crazy blinkers then. Hey, everybody, socked in a burner hell.
Ron
Yeah.
Lewis thrives on others' pain and
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
do.
like, oh, that's
Like,
nice, I got
I think
something.
every time I get something, or any success I get, I always think back.
I'll
'cause
ring
I-
everyone on my phone, say sucked in, cunt. I'm number one.
No, I think back at the teachers who I used to work with who didn't like
yeah.
me, who thought I was like annoying or like a little bit too loud or a little bit didn't find me funny or entertaining at all. When I said I started comedy, they were like, okay, good luck. So every time I get something, I'm like, I want to call them and be like, did you see that? See me on TV then? Suck shit.
That's the only reason I want to write a book, just to piss one of my teachers off. Like,
Yeah.
oh, yours didn't get published, but mine did. Fuckhead.
Yeah,
And guess what? I've made him
absolutely.
leave spelling mistakes in it because I'm fucking better than you.
And everyone knows what I'm saying.
yeah,
They get
They
it.
can figure out the different theirs, but you fucking can't wrap your little brain around it, can you? You fucking rude cunt.
So
and
do
you're
you-
I
listening
can't be
to
fucked.
Petty Fucking Revenge with Brian and Brady.
God, I'm loving it though.
So do you not have that?
No, I reckon my whole life that's probably been like it's baked in my bones from being the weird nerd at primary
Yeah.
school. So it's not like I hopefully have shed that in terms of some sort of like vitriolic thing, but the moment that stands out in like year 9, doing the school musical, we had some theatre sports thing where you had to like get up in front of everyone, including all the older kids, and like do a joke or something. And I did something that just bombed, like one line, like I dropped to the ground and pretended I died. And I remember it was like silence. And I remember one of like year 12 theatre kids went, that worked. And everyone like laughed hysterically.
Oh.
That's anytime I have a win, it's that asshole who I'm winning for, because it's
Absolutely.
me lying on the floor of the drama room with the blue carpet mashed in my face with my eyes closed, hearing everyone laugh about a sick burn. That's the only time I will allow a little bit of revenge to seep in.
You know what? I've actually got. Do you want to hear my psychotic one? I've just thought I do have one.
Yeah,
of course
I
you do.
remember going to a 21st with some cooler dudes than me, and I remember going into the party, and they invited me to the party. And the chick whose birthday it was, she's like, you're not invited and it's full. And I was like,
from
looking
the
at her, like,
movies.
it's not full. In my head, I was like, you wouldn't even know if I was fucking here. It's fucking not full. I was like, oh, no, it's all cool anyway. I had somewhere else to be. Nowhere to be. I was like, you fucking bitch. And then, but every time I did comedy and I was killing, in my head, I was like, fuck, I wish you could see me now, right?
Oh, so did you actually have to turn on your heels and leave?
Pardon? Yeah, I had to leave. But then every time I was like, yeah, fucking bitch, whatever. And then she came, and I was doing real well at comedy in Perth, and she came to a show, and I fucking bombed. But then from that point on, it was actually good, because then I was like, you should never shape what you do based on someone else or what their perception of you is.
No.
So I cut that out of my life, and I was like, oh, that's positive. And then years later, she came back to another show. She was just in the audience. And I did very well.
How do you know that? You saw her or you invited her?
No, I
You went,
invited her.
this place is full and you're not invited.
Yes. Why didn't you do
your
that?
solo show, Brett. There's no one here. I'm like, no, they're coming. But then she came later and I did good. But then I was like, well, why would I have, fucking this pettiness?
The deep wisdom of not outsourcing your happiness to someone else.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the lesson of life. But like, why am I letting someone else, like whether it's a colleague, a reviewer, a rando from school, why am I letting them decide if I'm happy or not? That's not right.
But no reviewers allowed in this year. You have to pay.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see it. It's an old school way of no one reads print media.
Yep.
It's behind a paywall. The only people who read reviews are comedians. There's that many fucking 5-star things on everyone's poster. It's kind of lost in the mess. So this year I'm like, okay, if your reviewers want to come, that's fine. You can fucking pay. It's not on a specific night. Choose whatever fucking night you want. Couldn't give a fuck. I don't read it anyway because I don't like reading. I'm not getting behind the paywall. If comedians want to come and write something nice, then I'll fucking use that on my poster. I just feel like why would I have so much? It's not that I have anxiety about it, but I just don't feel like I'm giving the power to someone who doesn't really know.
Okay, so that's all the validation aspect of it and what you're looking for. Because I remember when I got the radio job, just to come full fucking circle on this, the number of people in my life, particularly like mum's friends, who went, oh, I always knew you'd make it. It was a sense that I'd made it.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, this is it's a cool job. Like, I'll give it a go, but I'm not, that brings us to like, I've just quit my job, well-paid superannuation salary to be a freelance artist again.
Mm-hmm.
That's because the validation I want is from the people in the room.
Yeah.
And I realized I would rather 100 people in a room laughing or going with me on a thought than 100,000 people on radio, because that was a lovely journey, but it's not what I'd started this for. And they're not I still want approval. Don't get me wrong. I think we all do. We're performers. When you're playing to a crowd, you want their approval, and you'll feel bad if you don't have it, because that's your job.
Yeah.
That's the skill we're meant to have built up.
You made a beautiful post when you started the radio, and I wonder if you remember this. You put a post on social media where it was a picture of you as you had just started comedy, and you looked exactly the same. And you wrote
It's like the reverse of body shaming.
Hated it.
Yeah.
I told this cunt to fuck off.
You'd written, a lot of you were, just because I've got this big new job on radio, a lot of you are wondering whether this means it's the end of my stand-up or something along these lines. I am not going. It does seem like that.
I'm trying to remember. This is delightful.
You wrote, "There's no way I'm giving up that side of my life." This young Sammy who did awful gig after awful gig after awful gig, I will not, or something like, I'm not giving up on that. This is just an addition.
Did I have a joke in there though? Sure, don't tell me it was like
it was
an
actually
earnest.
No, it was so good.
I
loved it. I loved it.
Red
I
was
loved
right.
it.
Yeah.
No, I loved it. It was so nice. You were like, I'm not giving up on that. This is just an addition to it. It was beautiful. I stayed with
Just want to fact
me.
check. I reckon there must have been a little
It would have been a joke
A
in there.
cheeky little twist at the end.
Of course there would have
Oh, okay,
been.
thank God.
But the thing that I-
Yeah, exactly. There's
His
like some
penis is
secret
out.
penis.
Oh my
Secret
gosh,
penis.
no.
Nice.
Oh yeah, dude.
No way.
I'm glad
There was a
that's
joke
not-
in there,
yeah.
but it was like
think
you were like, I've worked so hard, and this is an addition to what I'm doing. This is not put an end to anything for me.
The joke might have been the image because was it me with my shirt off like as some creepy little 15-year-old
No,
or something?
you were in a shit pub and you had like an
Oh,
oversight.
yes!
You know what I'm talking about?
Now I know.
You know?
Yeah. It was Comics Lounge.
Yeah.
And it was
sure,
a close up,
sorry,
and it was
Comics
me
Lounge.
with a big like mop of hair and my fucking goatee, and just like
Goatee,
hunched
hell yeah.
over
Yes.
my it was that's right. The bad
And you-
photo was the joke. That's how I was able
You're
to.
like,
be
I owe it
earnest.
to this little guy
Yeah.
to do both. And you were like, I've worked hard. I worked hard
really-
then. I'm just going to be working hard now,
I'm
but a different way.
disproportionately touched that you remember that.
Of course I do. It was beautiful.
Breaking my little brain.
Don't be weird about me stalking Sammy J in front of Sammy J. Wait till he leaves, then be weird about it with me, and that's so fine.
get it
Now,
right
before
now.
we go, because we've got to wrap this up, we always
yeah.
ask our guests.
Oh, okay.
what
I'm
is-
being gonged, am I? Is that
You
right?
are
Yeah.
being gonged.
I got nowhere to be. I
We're
don't have
on
a
an
job
hour-
anymore.
We're on an hour and fucking nearly 20.
Let's
I've
go for
loved
fucking
this.
2 then,
Oh
Brett.
Yes,
my
come
lord.
Are
on.
you a
I've-
boy or a man?
Always
I'm
go
a
for his
Bron, he can leave.
masculinity.
We can just get
I've got to
going.
edit this
I wanna
later.
hear
I'm
more
like,
stories.
fucking wrap it up, cunts. I've got about an hour in me, then I get bored.
What is the worst gig you've ever
worst
had?
gig
Is
you've
he's
ever
trying
done.
to
Yeah.
ask.
Okay. Easy because it relates to everything we've been talking about.
Okay.
A couple of years after I'd sort of started, some guys down on the Mornington Peninsula booked me for the Mornington Peninsula Surf Riders Association. Now,
Surf-
surf riders, that just meant surfers. But
That's right.
They call themselves surf riders. I don't know why. Maybe they still do. I
And
don't
when
know.
you say Mornington, do you mean like Rosebud or do you mean Mornington?
Oh,
Like,
a little
I
bit of
wanna
both. It was
Is it-
the entire peninsula, I reckon. But it
Yeah,
was
Okay.
so there's a bit of a fight down there. There's
yeah,
some
but it was
rough
edging
characters.
towards Mornington, and it was a couple. What I remember was they wanted to get Mick Malloy, and he wasn't available.
Very similar vibe.
Very similar vibe. So and actually, you know what? I don't know if you're going to include this in the edit, Brady, so you'll have to decide for yourself. But the thing we're just talking about your revenge on
Yes.
this audience, that was it was half the kids who'd given me shit at school. Like
I was
grief.
wondering, surely there's people you know.
Staring me down, and it was not like, and they're all fine people. Everyone has their own challenges. We're all fucked up in different ways, and so
Sure.
I was fucked to other people, probably no doubt as well. But like
I
in
doubt
that
it.
moment, we were all young enough to still be, and they were just sitting there with this. It was like I'd been. I'm not convinced it wasn't a trap. Because I'm sitting there singing my entire Melbourne Train Network song, warbling away like Elliot Rhodes from Frontline's Friday Night Funny Man. And they're all just sitting there staring at me, and then they all start talking. Then it gets drowned out, and then just all like chatting away, and I'm just in the corner. And then it's always the sick burns that you remember, not the moment. Like that was fine. I was getting paid, whatever. But then the MC gets up this big beefcake and goes, "Tough act to follow," and everyone just pisses themselves laughing.
God, that's
And I'm on my
awful.
hands and knees, like unplugging my keyboard and having to pack it all up and then walk through the room. Undoubtedly the worst gig of my
Oh,
life.
that is
But
awful.
just like you said, a couple of them probably 5-10 years later, I remember coming along to a show with me and Randy and just thinking, okay, well, like, not
Great.
so much like fuck you, but just more like we've all grown up.
yeah, and maybe
Yeah.
they came along because they thought you crushed. Maybe they were like, that was
No,
the
but
best
I
thing.
also think sometimes
Wipe that
when you,
Pollyanna smile from your face.
you know, if there's a group of 5 people giving you shit, surely 2 of them, like there's a spot in their brain where they're like, oh, give him a
Well, he's up there
credit for giving
yeah,
a go.
like you're having a crack.
Yeah.
You're having
And also,
a
I
crack.
think with musical theatre, then this is, musical theatre, musical comedy,
Yeah.
you can just be like, all right, I'll just get through the song. But
Oh.
when you've got a joke and you're trying to talk to them, I feel like it's a bit
the,
different.
the ability to fill silence with a piano is something I've never taken for granted.
Dude, I'm so envious of it when it happens. Particularly when you're bombing, you're like, fuck, I'd love
Exactly.
to be like,
You should bring one on, Freddie. Just see. It's a new
yeah,
vibe.
fuck, here's Mozart up here having a crack, is it? No,
Oh,
thank you.
Sammy J, thank you so
Oh, this
much
has
for
been
coming
like
on.
honestly the first podcast I've been able to do in 5 years where I haven't been dog tired. So thank you for having me.
Oh,
it's part of my
great.
re-emergence. So
Oh, and your re-emergence will be gorgeous.
be awesome.
Phoenix from the Flame. This new show is going to be
And
spectacular.
where is
along.
the new show? Where are you touring? Where
Yep.
can people find you?
every single capital city and plus some more, except Darwin and Hobart, you've missed a chance. So you know.
They'll be
do
messaging
better.
you. They'll be messaging you
It's
asking
called
when
the
you're
Kangaroo
coming.
Effect, Adelaide Fringe, Melbourne Comedy Festival, Brisbane, Sydney, Perth, the whole lot. It's really fun. I'm backing this show, so come
Good.
along.
Good.
Come along.
Mate,
It's
I'm
gonna be
bloody
amazing.
backing it as well. Guys, if you're not already on the Patreon, make sure you do so. And also, me and Bron have shows during the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, so go check that out. And we have our live shows coming to you 2 weekends over the Comedy Festival, so check those out. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Sammy.
Come on in, Red.
I've been fired from a lot of places. I've been fired from so many places.
I went into the class one day, real bullets, like real bullets.